Hey, what's going on, guys? Sean Mathis here, CEO and founder of Surefire Digital Media and the creator of the insurance lead Genie. Thank you for taking some time with me today. I want to talk to you guys about something that has been really important to me, and it's marketing automation. Obviously, since the launch of Lead Genie, this has been a hot topic. This is a huge opportunity for insurance agents. If you're unfamiliar with what marketing automation is, or you're not really using technology to the fullest extent that you should be, you're not really using social media, but you know that you should be, and you want to learn more about it, stay tuned. This is going to be some important stuff that you need to understand and need to dive into. So if you're interested in marketing automation or learning more about our system, the Insurance Lead Genie, hop over to insuranceleadgenie.com and check it out. It's an amazing platform. But I don't want this to be a sales pitch for Insurance Lead Genie. I want to talk to you guys about marketing automation, CRMs, and how to leverage these technologies in your business as an insurance agent, and how you're going to be able to use it to grow, and how I ultimately think in the next 5 years, it is going to be a must. It is going to be a must. Now, this is going to be light years ahead of anything that most of you are probably using or have even heard of. And that's okay, because we tend to stay a little bit ahead of the curve. But what is marketing automation? Simply put, let's just look up the definition for you guys. Marketing automation refers to softwares and platforms or technologies designed for marketing departments and organizations to more effectively market across multiple channels and automate redundant tasks. All right. So simply put, marketing automation automates your marketing, right? As the name would imply. And they go hand in hand oftentimes with CRMs, although you can have a marketing automation platform a la carte from a CRM. What is a CRM? It's a customer relation management tool or client relation management tool, or any of the sorts of lead nurturing. Most oftentimes a CRM is going to house your data, your contacts, your clients, your prospects, your leads, and it's going to also provide a place for you to manage those relationships with tasks, with the sales pipeline, notes, basically an online database of everything going on in your company. Simply put, most of you, if you're with a captive company, you're going to have some form of a CRM. Now, let me just touch on this really quickly, because I think if you're a captive agent, don't get confused CRM in the sense that you might have if you're with Farmers Sims, or with Allstate, you've got eAgent, or State Farm has moved to Salesforce. I'm not sure, Nationwide just went independent. Liberty Mutual has their own CRM in-house. Those are fantastic tools, and I don't want to take anything away from those. Those have a purpose, all right? And you should be, and most likely you're required to use them once you have a customer. And it's a great place to be able to look people up and query your book and run reports and all kinds of good stuff like that. Where I think, for those of you that are captive agents, where I think those are a miss is lead management and lead nurturing, and certainly a big miss in marketing automation. They don't have it, all right? It just falls flat on its face. And the insurance industry tends to move sort of behind the curve when it comes to technology, right? They're far behind where the rest of the world is when it comes to digital marketing, certainly when it comes to automation, and their CRMs are so massive with these huge captive companies that it takes a lot for them to make a change, even the smallest of change. So it's nothing against the insurance industry and the CRM and why they're so far behind. Now, they do great things, again, and I think it's probably the best place for you to have. And I want you, if you're a captive agent, to rely on your company's CRM, because they are great, all right, for the reporting and getting it to managing those customers. Where they fall flat, and where I want you to really consider what I'm talking about today, is for how you're managing and nurturing your leads, all right? For those of you that are independent agents, you don't have a CRM. You're not provided one, so you have to get one. There's a ton of them out there. There's HubSpot, there's Infusionsoft, there's ActiveCampaign, there's SharpSpring, there's tons and tons, a plethora of them. There's things like Pipedrive, and the list goes on and on. I mean, there's an infinite number of opportunities and platforms from which to choose. And I'll say there's no right or wrong way to go about a CRM or marketing automation tool. There's just different ways. So after the last 5 years of working with insurance agents, both in the captive and the independent world, providing leads and digital marketing services, I have found a massive need in the marketplace around marketing automation and CRM and the use of them. It's unfortunate that most insurance agents don't have a clue how to effectively use these platforms. So what I did was I created the Insurance Lead Genie, and you can go to insuranceleadgenie.com and take a look at it. And I'm going to make some references here about the Insurance Lead Genie so that you kind of understand how this works, and if you're using another platform, a Ricochet, a DYL, any of these other ones, you need to be looking for these functionalities and these uses within the platform that you're using, because they're important. All right. So after years of working with over 1,800 agents, I've noticed that it doesn't matter where the lead comes from as far as insurance agents go. If you don't have a system or a process by which you're working these leads, you are most likely going to struggle. When I look at the top producers in the industry, and it doesn't matter what company, when I look at the top producers, and when I say top producer, I'm talking about guys that are hitting triple digit policy counts month in and month out. You look at guys writing 100, 150, 200, even 300 or more applications or policies a month. They have a system. They're not doing things manually. They have automated processes in place. They have automated follow-ups. They have automated tasks and reminders. They have a system. They are using technology. I have never come across an agent putting up millions of dollars in new business or writing hundreds of policies a month doing so manually. Their team isn't working out of Outlook. They're not jotting notes down in a calendar. They're not using their cell phone, Gmail. They have a system in place. And it's not always the best system, but they have a system nonetheless. When I look at the agent between $3 million and $5 million of premium or less, 3 staff to 5 staff, there's this plateau that I see happening. And that plateau is not having enough business to support new staff, but also needing more staff in order to grow, and not having a system in place to oversee all of the leads for the staff to have a clean and efficient and effective way to handle more leads, although the agency needs to grow. They're sort of in this stagnant pattern, and there's this plateau that has to be scaled in order to reach the next level. And I see this sort of 10-year to 12-year agent, maybe 5 to 12-year agent, 3 to 5 staff members, 3 to 5 million, struggling to get to that next level, struggling to get to that, hey, I've got 8 to 10 people, we're writing 100 policies a month, we're doing a couple $1 million in new business premium, like getting to that well-oiled machine status. And the reason is, and overwhelmingly, these agents are looking for these bright, shiny marketing services. They're looking for exclusive leads. They're spending sometimes $5,000 or more a month on internet leads, on mailers, on telemarketers, on training programs, you name it. Like, they are doing everything they can, beating their head against the wall, trying to find that magic tool, that silver bullet to get them to the next level. And I want to tell you that it's really not as difficult as you think it is. It's not the leads. I promise you it's not the leads. It's interesting. I've got hundreds of applications and forms that agents fill out before we talk to them. We get them to fill out a survey to tell us about their agency. Hundreds and hundreds of these just over the last 12 to 16 months. I think we're at like 700 of them filled out, where we get some really good insight and data to really start to understand the makeup of the agency. We get to find out how many employees they have, what kind of premium, what kind of application count, what kind of marketing budget they're spending, where they're spending their marketing, and also where their business is being closed. What avenue are they closing business? And this 3 to 5 employee, 3 to 5 million agent, that person struggling to get to the next level, you see them spending money on marketing, and you see a wide range of sources. And then what you see when you ask them, where are you spending your money? Overwhelmingly, it's Facebook, Google, mailers, internet leads, top 4. Not necessarily in that order. Everybody's got their own flavor, but those are the 4 that we see most often. You'll see some telemarketing. You'll see some people will lump their live transfers in with the internet leads, but that's where most people are spending their money. The overwhelming majority, 9 out of 10 of the agents that I talk to in this category are closing most of their business from referrals and from cross-selling in-book, added cars, cross-selling, in-book, referrals and in-book business. And you might say, well, yeah, that's not normal. Listen, if you're spending $1,000 or more a month on marketing, but you're closing the majority of your business from referrals and in your book, you will not scale. That is a hamster wheel. That is a vicious cycle that the vast majority of agents find themselves in. And you will never scale your agency if that is the position that you are in today. Something has to change. There's something broken, and it's not the lead provider. I'm telling you it's not, because when I pull up the applications of the guys with $5 million to $10 million books who have 5 to 10 staff members who are writing 80 to 100 or more applications, they're spending their money in the same places as you are. They're spending their money on internet leads. They're spending their money on direct mail. They're spending their money on live transfers. They're spending their money on social media. But guess where the bulk of their business is coming from? Their internet leads. That's every top producer that I've ever talked to. Most of their business is coming from the marketing, whether it be the internet leads, whether it be the live transfers, it makes no difference. But where they're spending their money is where they're getting most of their business. Those two things have to be in play. You cannot spend most of your money here, but close most of your business over here. That means everything here is wasted. Everything you're doing here is wasted. And you cannot survive that way. You will stay stagnant. You will struggle and beat your head against the wall every single year. And you'll jump from lead provider to lead provider to lead provider to lead provider, looking for the next best thing, the highest closing rates, the best contact rates. And I'm here to tell you that there's 2 things broken. Number 1, your process. Number 2, your salespeople. Insurance agents and team members today are spoiled because leads are abundant. You can get them anywhere. There's no shortage. You can get leads anywhere. And we've forgotten how to sell. We've forgotten how to follow up. We don't have a system in place. And our solution to that is either hire more people or buy more leads. 99% of agents that I talk to have a database of at least 1,000 people. Whether that be terminated, quoted not sold, purchase leads that didn't close, friends and family. If I were to ask you, give me every person that you have in your database that I could call and try to close, how many people would that be? 99% of agents have at least 1,000. That same 99% is doing nothing with it. They're doing nothing with it. Best case scenario that I see is you have some agents who are direct mailing their database. Direct mail. Guys, direct mail is so archaic. It's not scalable. It's rarely trackable. It can be, but it's not as accurate as anything that you can do online or in the digital space. And it's very costly. You're talking 60 plus cents per impression just to get one piece of mail in the mailbox, to get it seen one time. Meanwhile, on the digital forefront, you can get a penny, 2 pennies for an impression. You can hit somebody 60 times when they log online, 60 times in their newsfeed, 60 times in their email, 60 times on their text, on an SMS message. You can retarget them and follow them around, show up on mobile apps, show up on websites that they serve. You can be omnipresent for 1 to 2 cents per impression. Meanwhile, you're spending 64 cents for them to get a piece of mail, look at it, and then throw it in the trash. And then you got to pay 64 cents again to get it in their mailbox again. Meanwhile, 99% of the time, you're branding your company. They don't even know it's from you. You're branding Allstate or State Farm or Farmers or wherever the mail is coming from. Is it possible? Yes. Do some agents get good results? Yes. Is it advisable in 2020? No, absolutely not. You got to be using digital. So, okay, now that we've discussed that, how do we do it? What is marketing automation? What is marketing automation? How do you use it? So I'll just reference Lead Genie and what we've built. So after seeing this problem, and if you can nod your head yes to a couple of these points, and stay tuned, keep listening, stay with me here, gonna get to the point. So what I've noticed was it didn't matter what kind of targeting we used. It didn't matter how good the leads were. It didn't matter if we live transfer the lead to the agent. Agents simply weren't closing, not at the rate they should have. And I really looked at that and the more I started to digest the data, the more I started to really look at patterns and see what's going on and really look at my top producers from my mediocre and my average agents and really look and study the differences. What's going on? I started to see these patterns of consistency with the top producers having systems. And I looked and I spent time with them and I looked at their systems and I said, what are you doing? What is your sales process? What are your scripts? What does your follow-up process look like? What are these systems doing? What are you using DYL for? What are your touch points? What are your waiting periods? What are your triggers? What makes you call them? What does that look like? And what I see most of the time is agents will have a variety of different things. They'll have a texting platform. They'll have a dialing platform. They'll have a maybe an email automation platform. They may even hire a company to do some emails or maybe some social media retargeting and things like that. They'll do a little bit of like this hodgepodge of like, several different things and trying to tie them all together and really only half-ass using any of them because they're complicated. They're time consuming to learn. They're expensive. It's even more expensive to hire somebody to build this stuff out for you. Certainly paying service time to develop it. And a lot of times you waste as much time as you do money. But nonetheless, they're doing something and it's getting the results, right? And so I looked at that and I looked at what the agents that are not getting the results that they really should be or that they want to be. And I spent about 10 months figuring out, okay, how can I build something that agents need? What is it that they need today that they're not getting? I see where they're going with this hodgepodge of things. I see where you're going with it. How can I create one system that does it all? And then I see where agents are failing that are using these things. And I see, okay, well, why aren't they using them to the fullest? Like there's all these other things that they could be doing, but why not? Number one, they didn't know. Number two, they didn't have the time. They didn't know how to do it. They didn't have the time, or it was really expensive to get the developers. They couldn't get their team to input the data. They couldn't get their team to build the workflows, to enter the follow-up measures. Like that's the other problem with CRMs and marketing automation tools. You got to enter in data for the system to know what to do. You can't have a workflow kickoff if the trigger isn't entered, if the data isn't put there, if the tag isn't made. If the system doesn't know the person's X date, it can't put the X date workflow into motion, right? Got to have people remember that. But most salespeople aren't detail oriented. They don't do that stuff. They move on to the next thing, especially in this churn and burn society that I see insurance agents in this environment that they're operating in of just hey, get to the next person, get to the next quote, get to the next quote. And there's nobody putting any emphasis on follow-up. But I'm here to tell you, most of the successful agents and the most amount of premium being written is in the follow-up. The one thing I see with the top producers is they're spending an enormous amount of money and they're really lacking in the follow-up. I've seen some guys with databases of 10 to 15,000 people, and there's no reason you should still be spending $5,000 or more with a database that big. No reason, none, absolutely none. So what I did was I looked at all this and I said, okay, let's put something together. I want to create something that I build out totally. It's completely turnkey. Every email drip, every workflow, every automation, every SMS message, everything is done. The sales pipeline is already built. I want every follow-up opportunity automatically tagged and picked up by the system, placed and assigned to an agent, placed into their needs contacted sales pipeline, notify that agent the moment that it happens. Tell them who it was, what happened, why they need to follow up, and give them a script of what they need to say based on the action that that prospect took. It was an undertaking. It took about 10 months to build it and perfect it, but it's there, insuranceleadgenie.com. That's what I've built. I've built a system that you can bring your entire database into. I don't care how old it is. I don't care if you've been in business 20 years and you've got people that you put into an Excel sheet from 1990. I don't care. I can use it. If I've got a name, a phone number, and an email, our system will take your entire database and we will prospect it on autopilot in the background. You can still do what you're doing every day. Maintain business as usual. Give us your database, and our marketing automation tool is going to systematically and automatically prospect your entire database on autopilot. We've got pre-built workflows, and this follow-up happens consistently on a daily basis until we nurture that lead, that contact, to the point of them saying, yes, I want to talk with an insurance agent. Yes, I want to quote. And the moment that happens, we notify your team. No more follow-up opportunities are missed. That is the single biggest problem I see salespeople making today in the insurance industry is they're missing follow-up opportunities. Why? Because they don't have a system to tell them when there's one there. They're so busy focused on the next lead, and refund me this lead, give me another lead, next lead, and they've forgotten all about the people that they bought and talked to a week ago, a month ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 3 years ago. They're not following up. They're only worried about today, here, now. Quote, you're not buying? Great, give me another one. Not buying? Great, give me another one. Totally forgetting about the biggest piece of the pie here. Listen, guys, these people want insurance. They have to have it. Even if they don't want it, they have to have it. It's required by law. There's no reason. They will buy insurance every 6 months. They're buying a policy. They're either renewing or they're buying it from somebody else. The question is, will it be you? And what, at best, insurance agents are following up on an X date. And that's if you're on top of it. If you're on top of it, you're following up on the X dates, every X date. But all you're doing is you're calling, trying to sell. That's all you're doing. You're bringing no value to the marketplace. You're not educating people. And then you wonder why you're stuck selling on price. Because you haven't brought any value. They know nothing but price. That's all they see on TV. That's the only radio commercials they see is save 15%, save $700, switch and save, bundle and save, discount double check, pay for only pay for what you need, pick your price, pick your coverage. That's the only thing insurance people are talking to consumers about. So it's no wonder all they want to talk to you about is price. But what if you had a system that will deliver that value that you want to have in the conversation? You want to talk to them about endorsements. You want to talk to them about actual cash value and replacement costs. You want to talk to them about mold and earthquake and water and seepage and leakage coverage. You want to talk to them about towing and rental reimbursement and the difference between a $200 deductible and a $1,000 deductible. You want to talk to them about uninsured motorists. You want to talk about PIP. You want to talk to them about an umbrella policy. You want to talk to them about life insurance. You want to talk to them about term life, whole life, universal life. But you can't. Why? Because you're only talking about price. But what if you had a system that can deliver that content on an autopilot in the background? And you've got them going to a website that has all the content there. And you can track every time they open an email. You can track every time they hit your website. The system will look and say, hey, is this person working with anybody on the team? No, boom, assign them to somebody. Notify that person. Tell them who it is, what they did, why they're calling. Tell them even what to say. The only thing you have to do with Insurance Lead Genie is pick up the phone and call. That's all. We even automate the task. The system will automatically create tasks for the agents. You cannot miss a follow-up opportunity with Insurance Lead Genie. It does not allow you to do so. And the prospecting never stops. There's only 2 scenarios that will stop the prospecting. 1, the customer opts out. 2, you sell it. That's it. They opt out or you sell them. Other than that, they will continue to be marketed to on a consistent basis, and you will see everything that they see. You will know exactly what the trigger is. The workflows are predetermined but customized to the way that you want it. I'm going to give you an example. Let me just pull up my an example here. So here's an agent here, and if you're listening on the podcast, go to insuranceleadgenie.com. You'll see this example right here on the homepage of insuranceleadgenie.com. But here's an example of somebody who they imported 1,000 contacts from a variety of lead sources. We're talking Underground Elephant, we're talking Quote Wizard, we're talking Hometown Quotes, just a hodgepodge. And they were over the last 3 to 4 years that this agent had collected these. He gave me 1,000 contacts. We put them into the system. The system started the workflows. It started marketing to them. Started what we call a remarketing funnel. We've got several different funnels. We've got remarketing. We've got new leads. If you've got new leads coming into the system, which you should always have new leads, remarketing, new leads, life insurance. And then we've got over a dozen other automations like site tracking, open emails, link clicks, multiple emails. It's got a custom scoring system, so it scores the contacts based on their engagement. They get points for having cars, they get points for owning homes, they get points for opening emails, they get points for replying to emails, they get points if there's a deal in the pipeline that's open, they get points if they've ever bought a policy. So you can see exactly what this customer looks like and how engaged they are with the content, so that you know when you're calling them, if you're calling a 5 or you're calling a 25, you'll know that. So they put 1,000 contacts in here. The system kicks off the workflows. It starts weeding through these 1,000 people to figure out who's interested. Now, if you don't have a marketing automation system, what is your alternative? Mail the 1,000? Sure, you could do that. Cold call the 1,000? Sure, you could do that. Hire a telemarketing team? Sure, you could do that. At the end of the day, what are you doing? You're calling the 1,000, you're working through it to find who's interested. Right? So how many people out of 1,000 would be interested at any given time? Our system shows us that about 10% of people at any given time are willing to play ball and get a quote from you. And that's exactly what happens. They put 1,000 in here. We found 115 sales opportunities. That's 11.5%. Not great. Not great. Like, oh, wow, you converted 11.5% into leads. Yeah, but we did it without you ever having to pick up the phone. We did it on autopilot. You didn't lift a finger. You didn't build the workflows. It was turnkey. You joined, you dropped them, and boom, we found them. We found 115 sales opportunities. Now, here's what's amazing, and here's what you see. So if I could give you 1,000 contacts, and I could say, hey, but don't call these 900, just call these 100 because these are the ones that are interested. How many of those do you think you talk to? Well, they're interested, should talk to them all, right? Well, should, but you're not going to talk to everybody, you never will. But here you can see 73, we talked to 63% of them. Out of 115, 73 were made contact with. Out of that, 17 people requested quotes. Now, guys, this was a 72-hour snapshot that we took. This happened in 72 hours. We worked through that 1,000 contact list, that 1,000-person contact list. In 72 hours, we found 115 of them who were willing to talk, who were interested. The agent made contact with 73 of them. 17 quotes were requested. Now, you fast forward this to a week after this, and we're sitting at about 40% of these 115, or out of these 73 have been quoted. But at this time, the first 72 hours, 17 had requested quotes, and he sold 5 policies in the first 72 hours of kicking off this automation. $5,273 in premium. This happened on autopilot in 72 hours. Now, let's look at what you'd have to do in the absence of this. You'd have to somehow manually reach out. That's going to cost you man-hours. That's going to cost you time. I don't know how many calls can you make in a day? I'd say if you're if you've got an aggressive team, they're making 80 to 100 calls a day. Right? Let's say you got 2 people making 80 to 100 calls a day, and I bet most of you watching this or listening to this don't have anybody in your office making 80 to 100 calls a day. Probably closer to 50. So if you had 2 people making 50 calls a day, that's 100 calls a day, right? So it's going to take you, what, 10 days, 2 weeks to work through that list? Then you get the 115 that are interested, then you got to work those, and you got to get those to the point of taking a quote, right? That's going to take you, I bet, a month. I bet it would take you a month to work through a solid 1,000 people and close business. A month. 3 weeks if you're good, 2 weeks if you're really good. We did it in 3 days, folks. 3 days with Insurance Lead Genie. That's what marketing automation will do for you. It will market on autopilot. It will do all of your prospecting. And look, there's no right or wrong way to prospect. There's just different ways, right? You can direct mail, nothing wrong with that. You can call, nothing wrong with that. You can run retargeted ads, nothing wrong with that. You can buy internet leads, nothing wrong with that. There's just different ways. But what I'm going to tell you now is this is the most cost-effective way, the quickest way, and the highest return on investment. On average, if you've got 1,000 contacts loaded into our marketing automation system with a full-blown CRM that's going to build the sales pipeline, that's going to capture all of the sales opportunities, send the leads directly to your agents in real time as they happen with a full synopsis of everything, get the full profile. Here's the lead score, who it was, here's what they did, here's what you need to say, call them now, create the task. For them, they have to enter nothing. You could never log into Lead Genie and still be successful with this system because it's completely turnkey. We build it out, we customize it. Our team does everything for you. Everything. There is literally nothing like it on the planet right now. There's plenty of CRMs. We already talked about that. Plenty of CRMs, plenty of marketing automation options. But when you buy them, you're buying a license, access. You're buying access. From there, you either have to hire somebody or hire somebody in your team, hire their team to build out your workflows. And then let's say you've got an idea of, okay, here's what I think I want to have happen. When a lead comes in, I want them to get an email, and then I want to create a task to call them. Let's go ahead and send out a text. Let's do that day 1, and then day 2. Let's send an email. You got to work through that. Now, if you've never built a workflow or an automated follow-up process, good luck hitting a home run with that first one. Like I said, we've got the advantage of scale, working with hundreds of agents from multiple companies in every major state, every state, whether it's a major market or an urban market or a rural market. We've worked with brand new agents. We've worked with top agents. We've worked with people on national advisory boards. We've worked with independent agents, you name it. And we have a client that fits what you are currently doing. Promise you that. We've worked with over 1,800 agents. So we've got the economies of scale working for us. And so we've been able to work through a proven automation system. We've got the proven automation map. We know what works. We know what triggers. We know what intervals. We know what emails, what text, and what to say. And we build it for you. So you would have to get that. You'd have to figure all of that out. And then you'd say, okay, I want an email. What email do you want? What do you want it to say? Are you a professional copywriter? Are you a professional email writer? Are you a professional email marketer? No. I've sent millions of emails and made millions of dollars from email marketing. I know a thing or two about email marketing, and I've done it specifically in the insurance niche. My entire team has an insurance background. We understand this industry and this space better than anybody on the planet. There is no system that provides the complete turnkey workflows, automations, emails, text, full-blown WordPress website that captures everything. We even automatically build custom audiences for you based on the interactions happening. Guys, you have to have something like this. We are taking the industry by storm. If you don't have this level of follow-up and this level of efficiencies when it comes to working your leads, you are going to fall behind. And mark my words, let this go down. This will be online. It's 2020, January 5th. Let me tell you, 2025, every agent in America will be using marketing automation. Every agent in America. Right now, you have the opportunity to get light years ahead of your competition by putting this in place. Agents simply aren't following up. They're not doing it. I'm telling you they're not, because I've worked with them. I understand most agents are not working and following up with their database. This is an opportunity for you to get in, dump thousands, tens of thousands of people into a database and start pounding your name, building top of mind brand awareness, following them, tracking them. They are buying, everybody in your database is buying insurance every 6 months, at least twice a year. If they got an annual policy, at least once a year. Everybody in your database is buying insurance at least once a year, most of them twice a year. Are they buying from you? That's the question.